disruptive field to look at. So having looked at the basics and the nitty-gritties of Excel, as I was explaining, 40% is actually coming from charts and exercises. Let's go back, and I'm now assuming that all of you have now opened your chart exercises and sheets. Okay, let me open another presentation just to put my things across. I will be looking at this sheet called Excel Basics. I would like to open this sheet. Okay. First and foremost, when you are opening your worksheet, you have a tab called Useful Graphs here. This is the tab that we are talking about, Useful Graphs. Okay, and with respect to this data, what we have here is a graph which is quite a different graph. I'm sure you all must have seen this kind of a graph in some kind of research reports altogether. What is it trying to tell you? Let me just emphasize on what it is all about. On the left hand side, what we have is various valuation methodologies like discounted cash flows, public comparables, asset replacement, M&A comparables, replacement costs, sum of parts, 12 months, high and low. I mean, don't worry. I mean, I'm sure many of you are wondering that what exactly is this. We don't know DCF, but don't worry. We'll be working on valuations module anyways. Here the important thing to note is how are we going to make the real graph. So let me just explain you what this means. If I was following a discounted cash flow methodology, this assumption number 1 is let's say a pessimistic assumption, and assumption 5 is, let's say, optimistic assumption to look at. So under assumption 1, my fair valuation of the company is 30. However, if I am applying assumption 5, my valuations would be 45. Likewise, if I look at asset replacements, under assumption 1, my valuation is only 42. However, in assumption 5, my valuation goes down further and it is only 26. So, I mean, let's say if we have this kind of data, I mean, the best way to represent this would be a graph like this. I'll probably show you other ranges too, but I'll come to all of this in a moment. Let me just go back to the Excel sheet and work around the things which we are looking at. So what I am doing is I will be using chart functions. I'll be using chart functions within functions, and the chart functions are essentially, once you go to insert, if you go to insert, all of you go to insert, and you will find there are various charts like column charts, line charts, pie charts, bar charts, area charts. So we are going to discuss these kind of charts today, and I'm just assuming that at this stage these are not basic charts to look at. Some of you may be really proficient and some of you may be really new to charts, but these are the important ones that we are looking at. So let's say this is what we want. I can make a graph by selecting this row from DCF to full area, and then I can go to line. I understand that you may be parallelly working, so I mean we'll be really slow at this stage. We are selecting the whole area, which consists of valuations and as well as the assumptions 1 to assumptions 5, and we're clicking on the first set of graphs. The first set of graph says that it's a line chart. Under the line chart, it just displays the trends over time period. Now, do you think that this kind of data with different kinds of lines is adding value? I mean, I would say if I was a client, I would have actually thrown this research report in the dustbin. I mean, this is very difficult to interpret. There's no formatting altogether. It's so confusing that at the end of the day, I can make only one logic, that you are not an analyst. So that's what, I mean, that's what we should not do. Whether we are representing a data in a proper format, we should make sure that everything is really smooth and understandable. Likewise, let's try another technique. I mean, this is strict no-no from the research analyst angle. So we will delete this. I'm going back again. I'm looking at selecting this data again. Going to column charts. Okay. Now this column charts known as clustered column. Okay, this is the one which I will pick now. When I click OK, I mean, this looks somewhat formatted at this stage. But do you still are impressed as a client? Just think about yourself as a client. How much time do you have to read a research report? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not more than that. Now within this 2-3 minutes, if I have to go ahead and probably interpret all these bar charts, it's a huge task. What will be the final outcome? I'll throw this research report in the dustbin again. So this doesn't actually add value. I really need to go ahead and look at another formatting for this chart. The third approach is I directly copy and paste it. Now I directly copy and paste it and probably write this down. Small things like I write this down. Okay, the highest valuation is somewhere around 50, and the lowest valuation was somewhere around 26, or not 26 but 20. So as you can see, if I paste this table across in a research report for an analyst, for a client, it will be very difficult to interpret. So again, you really need to have some formatting for this graph. So all in all, as suggested by the research group, is that you really have to have a professional approach, and that's what probably this graph is telling you. What happens when it comes to this kind of a graph? As you can see on this side, we have the valuation methods, DCF, public comms, asset replacements, M&A comms, replacement costs. All the valuation tools are here. And what we also understand is, probably these bars, these are giving me the valuation range. This is so easy to represent and so easy to understand. Say for example, if I'm looking at DCF, what this means is the valuation starts from 30, the minimum valuations under assumption 1, and what I get is 45 probably under assumption 5, which is the most aggressive assumptions. Likewise, if I have to look at a valuation tool which gave me the highest valuations, remember we had marked 50. I mean, this is where highest valuations are coming from. What about the lowest valuations? This is the place to look at for the lowest valuations. So all in all, it's becoming so simple for us to interpret these things. What are the blue marked areas? These are the blue marked areas between assumption 1 and assumption 5. What is the maximum valuations and what is the minimum valuations, and the difference between the two. Basically, to cut the long story short, this is the range. And this range would mean, let's say we pick up this 12-month high and low. The range will be highest is 39, highest is 39. This is the maximum. What is the minimum? The minimum is not 26, but the minimum is 24. So we reduce 39 by 24, and what we get is 15. So we are talking about this range, which is coming from maximum minus the minimum. So that's how we are going to make this graph. First is we have this is something known as the raw data. This is raw data. Okay, and this is the converted data. Remember that we will be making a graph only on the converted data, not on the raw data. Okay, so I hope, just to reiterate, we will not be using assumption 1 to assumption 5 as raw data for the graphs. We will be converting it into the minimum and the ranges, and the logic that we understood was This blue mark highlights are basically the range, and the one which is below is something called a minimum. So that's what we are going to do. Let's see how this can be done in an Excel sheet. So let's go ahead and look at answering this question. Okay, so for finding out the minimum, what will I need to do? I mean, do I need to physically observe all these? Of course not. I mean, Excel is there for your rescue. You need to type equal to MIN, minimum. As you can see, when I type minimum, it says it returns the smallest number in a set of values. Okay, smallest number in the set of values, minimum, and you choose from assumption 1 to assumption 5. How am I going to choose? You can scroll your mouse from assumption 1 to assumption 5, or you can write down D7:H7, or whichever way it works for you. Probably if you're writing it down, probably you require more practice on Excel, but it's a very simple task. So once you write this this formula with an open bracket as well as closed bracket, you'll find there's a minimum which has been displayed. Now to do it again, I will do a Control-C, which all the MBA graduates know how to copy and paste. So I will assume that this is being taken care of, and I will do a Control-V. Control-C for copy, Control-C for copy, and Control-V will be for paste. So this is what you need to do: Control-C for copy and Control-V for paste. And let me also do it. This is Control-C and Control-V. So what I get is the minimum for all the ranges. Okay, now what about the range? The range can again be found using formulas like maximum. Ultimately, the range is defined as maximum minus the minimum. So I have already found out the minimum here. So I just need to go here and choose the maximum, bracket closed, and I want to reduce this with the minimum, right? So it's as simple as this: finding out the maximum from assumption 1 to assumption 5, subtract it with the minimum, and you get the range. Sure. So I am assuming, probably I'm assuming aggressively here that all of you are done with the ranges and maybe the maximums and the minimums, and you all have now converted the data. So this is what I'm assuming. You need to find out the minimum, and the range, which was started off by taking maximum minus I7, is essentially the minimum. Okay, so let's proceed. And instead of choosing the raw data this time, what are we looking at? We'll be choosing the minimum and the ranges now. So go ahead and select with your mouse this minimum and the range. Again, go to insert. Since we are on graphs and charts, we would like to insert a graph and charts. Now at this stage, we will look at columns again. Now don't be surprised, we have used columns, but what we were looking at was the clustered column initially. Clustered column was okay, one column one against the other, but here we are more interested in is stacked columns. Okay, go to stacked columns and click OK. So what do you get? As of now, this graph may not be making much sense for all of you, but once I do some things here and there, probably once I hide few things, probably this will start making sense for all of you. So at this stage, this is what we have. I've deleted the series. I've just selected the series 1 and series 2 and have pressed delete button on the keyboard. Okay, so I've deleted the series. Now there are the two things which are given here. The blue ones are basically the minimums, and the red ones are the ranges. Okay, the blue ones, just to reiterate, the blue ones, this is the minimum and this one is the range. So what we need to do actually is we need to hide this. If we hide the minimums, can we find some hanging bars in the graphs? I mean, I'm sure we will, if provided we can hide this blue columns. So let's go ahead and hide the blue columns. For this, you need to be very particular. You need to go in between this blue column, any of those, and click once. So what happens is, as you may closely observe, this is highlighted, the blue ones. Likewise, you'll get a prompt here. Likewise, you get a prompt here. That all of these are now highlighted. What next? You go to Format. I want to decolor this. I'm not coloring it. I'm making a color which is a no fill. Okay, don't make it white, because once you make white, okay, I'll show you how white functions. Once I make it white, as you can see, we do get some results in terms of hanging bars. But what is the problem here? If I choose the color called white, do you notice some patches here? Some breaks. These are breaks in between. These breaks are basically because I have used a color which is white here. I don't want to use a white color. I want to use a transparent color. That means I really want to use no fill. I don't want to fill this column with anything. So let's go ahead and select this one again. Go to Format. Go to Shape Fill again. Instead of white, which we used earlier, or instead of black or otherwise any other color, just plainly choose no fill. Okay? So is this fine with everyone? I mean, I'm sure you found the hanging bars now. If you want to color this further, if you want to decorate it, we can go ahead and do it. I mean, my personal favorite is blue color, so I'll go ahead and do a blue color here. And to highlight it further, I am selecting the grid lines and deleting the same. But at this point of time, there are a few colleagues who are prompting that, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, so we really don't understand what this 1, 2, 3, 4 is all about. Now, can I actually go ahead and label this up? Yes, I can do that. So why don't you go ahead and select the area which is in between, do a right click, select the area in between, do a right click, select data, and this is basically the horizontal axis. So what you want in between the horizontal axis is okay, let me do it again. You will find horizontal axis is named as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. What we want is DCF, public comp, asset replacement, M&A, likewise. So we'll go here and edit. We'll click on edit. Click here in between. Choose this full range from DCF, public comp, asset replacement, M&A comp till the last. Again, you need to click back and press OK. So there you go. I mean, this is where you will find that you have your full converted graph data with you. Now, I mean, I'm sure you can definitely recognize the key difference between the graph which we had made earlier and the graph which we are now looking at. So this is the kind of graph that you will be required to make. So let me actually go back to my Reliance Petroleum report and show you where this graph was actually made. Let's take this ahead and see where this was actually made. Reliance Petroleum report. I'm sure you are still with me as of now. I am moving away from this Excel and focusing on things which have real life applications. Now, can you see here that all these are range? Things which are below here are minimums. Can you make the same graph if required, just in case? I'm sure you will be able to do that. So this is the kind of graph that you really need to include once you have probably some graphs and charts that you need to make. So let's go ahead and address probably a few questions here and there. So I'm opening the window of Mr. Premanand, and who is the moderator and the trainer as well. Mr. Premanand.
Yeah, Dheeraj.
Premanand, I mean, I'm sure we have started with Excel graphs and charts, and was wondering that, I was looking at the chat window and otherwise a few prompts here and there. What kind of questions are we receiving on Excel now?
Primarily, some of the participants are quite new, and
Okay.
they are getting it something like, they are saying that it's going to be a bit faster.
Okay.
And that was primary concern. Otherwise, I feel like most of them they are quite attentive right now, and I'm sure they are enjoying probably the lecture that is going on right now, because I don't see any when the classes are going on at that point of time there is no disturbance as such. There is no one who is trying to ask some questions at that point of time. So they are trying to understand the things that is going on right now.
There can be two things. Either, we are doing a very bad job and hence, there are no questions at all. Or, we are doing an excellent job. Or probably, we will assume that we are doing a good job then. I mean, until unless our students prompt that we need to go slow or we need to
I
go
think
fast.
we should get some feedback from them itself. I mean, they should write to us if everything is going on nicely, or they would like something else maybe. Yeah, there are some people who have already written that it's a good job. There are other people who are also writing that it's not fast, it's going at a fair pace. Mr. Brajesh is asking, can you please explain how to range the data once again?
Okay.
Other people, they are saying that it's good and it's going at a fair pace.
Okay, friends, I mean, just to reiterate, I mean, this being just an introductory class, and in the morning that we look at probably things. We do understand that Excel is the most important thing. So those who are really new, I mean, please go ahead and look at the video tutorials. I mean, I had really explained you where you will find the video tutorials. We really don't want to face surprises later, because 80% of our if you look at 80% of our course is Excel based. I mean, this will actually allow you to understand the basics of Excel. Here, due to the focused nature, we will not be able to explain each and every detail of Excel, and that's why I really appreciate. I mean, if you can go back. I mean, I'm probably giving a generic answer. Those who feel that they are below average, please go back and have a look at all the video tutorials. They are primarily placed for your help. I mean, we are there to help you always, but still in a class like a webinar class. We'll have to be focused and take some examples which we already have looked at. Okay, sure. So let's go ahead and start with other details, like other kinds of graphs and charts. The graphs and charts. Yeah.
I would like to mention one thing.
Yeah.
That is, there are a few people who are new, and one or two people they are also saying in the question session that can we repeat the graph once more. I would like to tell them that please don't be panic. The same thing is going to be uploaded by Tuesday evening in your login page. So the same class that you can go through once again. I mean, any number of times that you'd like to go through this particular lecture, you can go on and read that one.
Yeah, true. And not only this, I mean, just to again reiterate the importance of online training that we have, or the curriculum that we have, I'll show you where this same thing is being mentioned. Though we are taking it in the class, it's also there available online. See, this is where I was looking at. If you go to analyst research and graphs, setting up a range chart. Those who have this thing opened, you will probably get a flavor that this is where you will find a lot of data. this is the same video. I mean, this is not the same video. This is the webinar that we are running, but essentially you will get the same thing about the DCF and the other things that we were looking at. See, I'll just delete this as of now, but what I'm trying to emphasize at this stage is that the resources that we have already provided to you and which we are going to provide will already contain some parts or major parts of the discussion in the format of videos. I mean, these graphs and charts and whole tutorial has been prepared by investment bankers, spending endless nights, not for preparing research reports, but for preparing training material in order to help all the students. So please make the most of it. If I were you, I would have spent at least 20 to 25 hours on this Excel day one for just viewing the videos. I mean, again, just to give you an example, similar kind of video tutorials or video online material is being accessed by majority of the investment bankers whom we release access to. I mean, this includes majority of bulge investment bankers. They actually look at our investment tutorials and Excel tools and learn the tools and techniques to write research reports. So make the most of it. I mean, this is where you really need to emphasize on. Okay, friends, so I mean, this is again for those who are really new, but those who are also experts, there is another way to look at equity research, and that's what you need to learn now. Okay, so what we'll do is, I believe that Excel being day one, we will not be doing too many sessions today. We'll be looking at possibly one or two more graphs, and yes, I mean, definitely I will be reiterating what we had done earlier, and those who require very basics of other tools and techniques, please go through the library that we have. Okay, so any other concerns that you all have, I'm sure we can again deal with it once we have done with the webinar, and we can go ahead with the Q&A sessions then. Okay, so let me go back and start off with the same graph, and the normal feedback was, I mean, few of them are still worried about this graph. I'll do this in a real quick pace now. What we were saying earlier was, this data that we had was quite a clumsy data because it contained numbers, and we really don't understand the data to the fullest by just looking at the table. So our question was whether we can probably represent this data in a better fashion, and that's where we thought of probably coming up with some tools and techniques to make this graph a better experience. So we said, let's calculate the minimum. So for the minimum, we had used the function called MIN from D7 to H7. This was the minimum. Then about the range, we used the maximum function minus the minimum. Okay, maximum of D7 H7 minus the minimum. Okay, so this is how we found out the minimums and the ranges, and we went ahead and converted this data. I mean, this is the most important part, which is step one. Okay, what did we do as step two? Step two was selecting this data, insert a column chart, and here we go. I mean, please remember, here we need to stack the minimum and the ranges. Okay, stack one over other. Minimum will be below, and we want to show only the range, so we need to have a stacked column. Please don't choose this one. This also is 100% stacked. This is different meaning altogether. We need to choose stacked columns. Okay, so let's click on this one and look at what we get. You don't have to do anything else. It is automatically done by the research, the Excel sheets. By the way, I forgot to mention, before we started off with Excel, that we are using Microsoft Excel 2007 version. Okay, some of you may be wondering that, okay, this thing was available in 2003 also, but globally, as we see various investment banks, they have also migrated from 2003 to 2007, and in fact 2010 has already come, and maybe 2012 is in a beta testing mode. So we also have to upgrade ourselves, so that's why we will be following Microsoft 2007 Office for any other training. So if you don't have this, please get access to this one, because though there are not major differences, but there are some differences in terms of the layouts. All the formulas and everything remains the same, but some of the graphs and charts are interesting here to note. So what was the next step? After I have looked at the graph here, the next step was I deleted series 1 and series 2, which was really not required at all. So I deleted this. Next thing, what we also understood was, since I have a stack, this is a minimum and the other one was the range. So I need to hide the minimum and stack the range above. So I will only make this as visible and the remaining blue ones to hide. So that's what we were supposed to do, and that's what we will do now. So for doing that, what we will do is we will go in between any of the columns in blue, click it, you'll find that only the blue shaded columns are highlighted. Go to formats, go to shape fill, and go to no fill. Okay, so once we click on no fill, you will find there's no fill altogether. At the end of the day, there is one minimum column which is behind it, but we cannot see it by visualize, and that's where we need to understand that this graph is really useful. The next thing that we had done within this graph was, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, we said, okay, why can't we have DCF, public comms, asset replacements, M&A likewise? So what we did was we right-clicked. We first of all selected this chart. We right-clicked. We went to select charts, select data. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the horizontal axis. Here we have the vertical axis. So we went to edit. Once we went to edit, we have an option to click here. Let's click it and select DCF, 12-month high and low, the whole range, and you press OK. So there you go. This is how a typical graph needs to be made. So either ways, this functions, and the utility of the graph, which I was explaining, some of you who were able to work on this, that this is the place where it is really used in any research report. You'll find this kind of a hanging bars, and these hanging bars are basically minimums plus range graphs. Remember always. So this is why this graph becomes one of the most useful graphs in research industry.